A warm welcome to everybody who's joining today's session about forensic linguistics to drive evidence-based decision-making in patent searches. My name is Peter Fischer from Elute Intelligence, and I'm the host for the next 15 minutes. First, I want to thank Jeet Agarwal and his whole team for this exciting event this year, especially under the given circumstances. So, what is forensic linguistics? We at Elute Intelligence develop solutions that use linguistic processes to search and compare any type of unstructured data and documents. Using the forensic linguistic processes, and I go into this in more detail shortly, allows to uncover relevant information in unstructured documents like our patent documents or other scientific literature and other documents, of course, as well. One major advantage when you talk about search processes is that the forensic linguistic is a quite transparent process, so you always can reproduce it and you always know why there's a similarity in the document. And this being transparent was always a very important topic for me, and I'll explain it in a second. So what's the major issue in our space in searching patent information? Well, the growing amount of data in the IP space and beyond. And even with COVID-19 and some reductions there, it doesn't improve a lot. So the challenges stay the same. I have too much information available, and I raise the question for me, how do I find information that is of relevant for me? And how to understand why it's relevant? And this combination is something I'm missing whenever I look in other solutions. How can someone understand why a document is relevant for my specific case? So what is forensic linguistics? Forensic linguistics is an academic discipline about the use of language. And use of language has several aspects. It's first about the words, how I use the words in the context. What's the order of the words? Is there any specific spelling and a specific style? And how are the words linked together? And understanding the full potential of language helps to analyze documents and to identify similarities between documents. And that's one part that is very important, as when I want to compare documents, I can do it, well, of course, on a word-by-word basis, on a sentence-by-sentence basis, but however, to understand the full document or the full content of a document, I always need to compare the full original source document and all the target documents as well in full. So cutting out something does not provide the right information, the right depth of information to allow a decision from a forensic linguistic standpoint. Where is forensic linguistic used? It's well known in all type of plagiarism detection. So for example, one of our clients in universities who analyze all type of students' works, their applications, to ensure that the same application is only filed once and not reused for another application for another year or whatever within the process. Similar cases you find in insurances when you talk about insurance claims and claims analysis, in e-discovery when you talk about analyzing documents in a legal case to identify when happened something specific and actually who is responsible. And then it's also used very often in police or other legal cases where, for example, when you talk about threatening letters, you need to identify the style and and the way it's phrased to match it with some individuals. In our area with intellectual property, it's slightly easier, as we are not interested in identifying who was the patent attorney who drafted a patent. For us in our space, it's just important is this information, is the content of this patent new? Is it something that overlaps with my idea, and therefore we can focus on the content side? So how is intellectual property information normally searched? There are two main technologies used. One, that's a traditional keyword search. Everyone, I think, is aware of this for ages, with all the advantages and disadvantages. If your keywords are not precise enough, you probably get too many results that are not relevant. If you are narrowed down too much, then you probably don't get the results you're looking for, or you're missing them because that's not part of what you have entered. And that's one of the challenges beside the not relevant results. It really depends on the knowledge of the searcher in front of the computer to get high quality results back. On the other hand, you have artificial intelligence tools, machine learning tools, and others, and we call it black box AI. And the very reason is that these are clever systems that use statistical methods, try to correlate relevance in words, and this is kind of hidden in the background. Which means for me, coming from a legal standpoint, for us it's about evidence. I want to know why a document is selected as being relevant, and then I can make the decision. Another element is good AI engines require training. And there are many cases around where the wrong training might lead to wrong decisions. So, for example, quite a while ago, Amazon did CV reviews for hiring new people based on AI algorithms. And pretty obviously, they used the existing documents from their mostly male software developers to train the system. But then when you're looking for someone working in the office or working as salesperson or any other non-technical in any other non-technical role, the system might fail because it's not what the system is trained for. And the same happens in intellectual property. So if you're working in a very precise space, then of course you can train the system and you get good results. However, when you're talking about a process today, about a chemical substance tomorrow, and then the next is, let's say, an electronic component to allow this processing, then you have different technologies, and that makes it quite hard for a precise training. And of course, as well, it can imply a certain bias, which will lead in wrong directions, especially when you talk about new innovation that's not around there. So there's not really a lot to compare with. And that was always the most important for me when I want to understand how a result comes up to the top. So is there a transparency of why a document is relevant and how can I see it? And that's something that the forensic linguistic approach sees very different. First, the process does not require any training because we always compare all documents with the source. Then it's very transparent because you know the algorithms, how it works. You always see why a document is chosen, and then you can make up your mind whether this is really relevant for your case or not. And this speeds up the decision process. And that's another aspect going forward. The system is absolutely language independent. So as long as you have the grammar applied to the patent reader, you can literally search any language. So how does it work? It's a simple 3-step process. You enter the document, could be an invention disclosure, could be patent claims from a document you're questioning, it could be a web page to start off. Then the patent reader extracts the relevant content carrying terms and compares it in a second step with the whole patent database or the whole data repository you have chosen. And then based on this full comparison, you will receive a ranked result. And this ranked result shows you, in addition to the ranking, also why the documents have been chosen. And this helps you to identify important vocabulary. So, for example, this can allow clustering of documents, but it also shows you how similar documents are, and this helps you to make your decisions on the document. So what's the advantage then compared to the traditional search processes? In simple terms, it speeds up the search as it's, well, there's not a full iterative process used. You start with the initial search and then you apply some filters, and in many cases you have already sufficient documents that can support a decision. And you have to look into less documents because you already see in the first place why a document is relevant. And I'll show you a brief example from the real world. This is a part of an email where an inventor said, hey, I have something about traumatic brain injury, and that's my idea, that's my solution. Hey, please look into what's around. Is this really new for filing a patent or not? So then we do the next step. We load the system. We analyze the core content, the core text, and then we found a certain number of terms that we then use for applying a full search to the whole patent database. And in the end, we receive a ranked result. And this ranked result allows us, and you see it here on the right-hand side, with some key terminology to spot relevant documents quite easily and allow to select the relevant ones very quickly without training an engine. And that's the major advantage in how you can speed up your decision process, because you're actually directed to what's relevant, and then you can make your decision. As a quick summary, so the patent reader allows a very easy visual ranking that shows the similarities between the documents and provides the rationale for a clear decision making on your end. And as a user, you can control what you're looking for, and you always see transparently what has been searched for. And this allows to monitor and search millions of documents in a very fast time compared to the manual reading process. So this fast and comprehensive result allows you good decision makings. And I fully understand that many of you have now questions. And I'm around here for the next couple of days, or you can use the communication channel within our conference tool to raise those questions now. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to your questions.